Welcome to
Spread the Word! Breaking news! The CDC says that people fully vaccinated against COVID-19 do not need to wear masks or practice social distancing indoors or outdoors, except under certain circumstances.
So you're saying vaccinated people can remove their masks indoors or outdoors?
Yeah, and I just so happen to have... That's great. That's so great.
Is everyone okay?
I just am so excited to be vaccinated. We have our vaccination card. I do. It thankfully did not get covered in wine.
Yeah. I mean, but we still need them for other places.
I mean, yeah. Anyways, I'm gonna go first. I read Madam. It's early 90s UK. And this young woman named Rose has just gotten a position at this really prestigious all-girls boarding school called Caldenbray. It's like the place that people hope to send their young women. The places that are so elite that you think like, you know, they control the halls of power all across the world. She's going to teach in in a remote peninsula in Scotland.
Gothic.
Craigs.
Okay.
And the battering sea and the relentless mist that cuts you off from the rest of the mainland. So she's on her way there. She's like beyond excited, and she has been hired as the head of the classics department at this hugely renowned school. So she's pumped, super excited. She's been taking care of her mother for the past several years. Her mother was diagnosed with MS, and her father killed himself several years ago. Damn. And so like it's all been on her. And part of what's great about this gig is that there's on-site housing, so she doesn't have to pay for housing. They do move her mother to a new nursing facility Rose is not informed of this. So she feels violated by that, but at the same time, it's like, it's what's best for her mom. You meet her classes, and through her classes, you find out that she is replacing another classics teacher who left under mysterious circumstances. The circumstances are kept mysterious to Rose. They are not really mysterious to anybody else. One of the students, named Bethany, she starts basically mistaking Rose for this professor who is no longer there.
Interesting.
And showing up at her apartment. And then Rose is also getting these threatening notes show up saying, "Why are you here? You don't belong here. Signed, one of us." Later on top of that, the girls have their tracks. They are all named after the founders' 5, I think, daughters or 4 daughters. There's Constance, Prudence, Charity, and the other ones. I don't remember what they are. I think Charity being the worst. One girl is
like worst how? What do you mean?
I can't tell you. One girl is put into Charity House after ostensibly her grades are poor, but then other things that you're not quite sure about. One of the things they do to punish you once you've gotten into Charity House is shave your head. So meanwhile, Rose is like, what are you doing to these girls?
It's like some weird dystopian world.
Yes, I really don't know how I can talk about this book without giving away all of it now. It's not what you think it's gonna be. Nothing about
I don't know what I think.
I don't either.
This school is still this school. It still has the ear, it's so well connected that both that poses a threat to her, but also like if she can get through it, she could come out really well connected. And then also that she doesn't want to like leave the girls with no one else who like seemingly operates by the standard rules of society.
Yeah.
So to be subversive, she starts teaching about misunderstood women in classic mythology. And in classic history. So they're going through Medusa. They talk about literally everybody. Some of the girls are very dismissive and like, feminist. My father says that is stupid. That kind of thing. Then there's like 4 or 5 girls who are like, tell me more about Medusa.
It sounds very intriguing.
I'm intrigued, yeah.
It's really good.
I read Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. I love Madeline Miller. There are very few people on this earth that I would say that I would chain myself to through marriage. Madeline Miller is one of those people.
If you're listening, Madeline.
Eligible bachelorette right here.
It is in that similar vein where it is a Greek mythology retelling, feminist retelling, but I feel like Jennifer Saint does a really great job of having her own voice in that specific subgenre. It starts with her growing up as a child, King Minos, right? Poseidon gives him a bull as a gift that he's expected to sacrifice to Poseidon, and King Minos is like, no, I'm going to keep this.
That's
I'm going
a really shit present.
Yeah.
It's like,
Give me this so
I
you
want
can
it
give it back to me.
Yeah, right, that's true.
Yeah.
So Poseidon, to punish him, because it seems like the gods can never punish the man, they always have to punish the woman, he curses Pasiphae with lust so that she wants to have sex with the bull. She has sex with the bull and has the Minotaur. She grows up. Her earliest memories of her mother are really, like, lovely. Like, you know, her dad was an ass, and she has a really close relationship with her sister, Phaedra. And her earliest memories of her mother are lovely, and then this happens, and she's just, like, a husk of herself. But part of that is, like, after she has the Minotaur, and he grows up and starts becoming aggressive, they put him in the labyrinth, and they make this labyrinth underneath the castle, so Pasiphae is constantly having to hear his, like, cries of anguish underneath the castle all the time, and that's tormenting her, on top of the fact that she had sex with a bull and was, like, basically raped. Growing up, obviously, in a very toxic environment between King Minos being a complete ass and knowing that the consequences of her father's ego is what led to her mother being the way that she is, and her brother being trapped in a labyrinth for the rest of his days. King Minos is a tyrant and just an asshole in general, and he goes to conquer Athens, and it works. One of the deals in keeping them in line is has to sacrifice 12 or 14 young adults to the Minotaur every year. Ariadne is older now. As the selected sacrifices come into Crete, she locks eyes with Theseus from across the way.
Is it electric as soon as they saw each other?
Yes, she's like instantly love at first sight. She helps him escape the labyrinth and kill the Minotaur, and then she escapes with him. So they...
Wait.
Yeah.
So she has to kill her brother?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she has to have a helping hand in killing her brother. So meanwhile, arguably, the most important part of this book is her relationship with Phaedra. So she tells Phaedra, you're going to go with me, and we're going to escape this place, and we're going to have this life together. I'm going to marry Theseus, and everything's going to be great. And so she, after he defeats the Minotaur and gets out of the labyrinth, she meets him at their designated spot. She's like, but what about Phaedra? We need to wait for Phaedra. And he's like, we can't wait for Phaedra. We have to go. They leave without Phaedra. He said, I'm going to come back for her. We're going to go. We're going to stop at this island, and we'll come back for her. They, like, have their night together. She wakes up, and she's alone on the island. He's left with the fleet of ships. She's all by herself. She's abandoned her home, her family. Like, none of this was altruistic in any sense. Like, he wanted to be a hero.
Yeah.
So he, like, put himself as one of the 14 sacrifices, used Ariadne to win, and then gave her no credit for it, and left her on the island. And the scene when she wakes up alone and realizes that all of it was just a farce is just, like, so heart-wrenching.
Because it's like a growing up moment too, where she was like, why did I believe him?
Yeah.
Like, she probably was like, I knew better.
Yes.
And we all come to that realization at some point.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and you, like, you relate to that. So, because everybody has that moment where you're just like, all of the signs were there. And I feel like in, like, Greek mythology, she's depicted as this kind of, like, conniving, like, sneaky, like, person who is defying her family to help Theseus, and then she gets what she deserves. He leaves her on the island. And in this, you just, like, realize that she is, I mean, solely a victim. So one of the, like, biggest stories that her mom tells her that kind of epitomizes the whole book is the story of Medusa, where, you know, Medusa has beautiful hair and is just, like, a beautiful woman all around, and is raped by Poseidon in Athena's temple, and then Athena punishes her by turning her into Medusa, as we know her. Like, the original victim shaming is Medusa.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that her mom, like, one of the stories that her mom told her that really sticks with Ariadne, and she thinks about it a lot throughout the book, where she's just like, when do we stop paying for the mistakes of men? And when do we stop being these like playthings for gods? And gods and men are often interchangeable in this book.
Okay, I read this book. This is a romance, or contemporary romance, I guess. It does take place in Scotland, which is nice. So it starts off, the main character, Thea, she is just gotten divorced from her husband, who had an affair with one of their mutual friends.
God!
For like 6 years.
6 years?
Oh my God.
How long were they married?
They were married the whole time. I mean, like, they were married for like 10 or 15 years or something like that.
Okay, so they had a
She's
few,
in her 40s.
They had a few years in there where...
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering, like, how...
Yeah, he wasn't having the affair the whole time they were married.
Okay.
Yeah.
6 years?
Yeah, but it's like a long time. Maybe 4. Yeah, something like that. Again,
What an
I read this in
asshole.
February, so maybe some of these facts are off. He doesn't tell her. She
finds out.
gets a message. She sees a message on his phone. As far as things go, it's pretty amicable. She's heartbroken. But then it turns out that an uncle, like an obscure uncle of hers, dies. And they had like a connection because she loved reading. And he leaves his estate to her. And he was actually kind of rich.
Well, that's the dream.
I know, I was like, I whispered that, but I was like, oh, it sounds terrible. But like, everybody wishes that there was
There's this obscure
a
uncle.
person that you don't, like, you're not close enough to them to feel the grief. But
Right.
get the cash.
So she's like, okay, well, I'll go check out this place in Scotland. And she's like, actually, it's kind of great because I kind of need to get away right now anyway. So she goes to Scotland with the intention of like kind of like going through the house, like cleaning it out, selling it, and like kind of moving, and then like using the money to buy like a flat or something where she lives, which is like closer to London. Then she gets up there and there's like this little town, and she's like, actually, it's like kind of nice being here, being away, and like kind of getting a fresh start where no one knows this whole like past history that I had with my ex. The people who owned the estate before, like the nobles, like they're dukes or earls or something. The older brother has technically abdicated, and so it's the younger brother who is taking over the title, and he is very keen on like buying up the stuff that they had to sell off like after the war to like pay debts and things like that, to like kind of get everything back together. So he wants to buy the place from her, and she's like not sure yet if she wants to sell it to him. And then the older brother actually owns a secondhand bookshop in the town. Interesting. So yeah, so she like meets him and she loves the bookstore. Kind of strikes up a friendship with him. He's like a little curmudgeonly. She's like in her early 40s. He's in his late 40s or early 50s or something like that. And she kind of like evolves to like deciding she maybe wants to stay there longer. And she's like, okay, well, I need a job here. Even though she has like the money from her uncle, she's like, I can't do nothing. And like, you know, and then the guy's like, Edward, he is like, no, I can't hire a woman. I don't hire women. And she's like, excuse me, what? And he's like, they always fall in love with me and I just can't.
Is he exceptionally good looking? Is he described as exceptionally good looking?
No, I just think he's a regular person, but like, she's like,
has,
oh, okay,
has a
please.
vibe.
No, she like takes it in stride. She's just like, oh my God, I'm not gonna fall in love with you. Like, get over yourself.
Yeah,
and, like, all
you're
this.
being ridiculous.
Yeah, and he's like, fine. So he like
Last
agrees to let her work with him, and she's loving it, and she's making other friends in the Scottish town, and like she and Edward hang out a lot. They like go get beers after work, and he's all very casual. And then, you know, like, I don't know, it's just a nice slow building romance, obviously, between them, because of course. And
Yeah, the second you say you're never gonna fall in love with anybody.
yes, you're like,
of course,
oh,
you're like,
God.
found my
But
dream man.
nothing about it ever comes off as like very cliche. It's just very like real seeming. I don't know. Yes, so they go through like the normal like kind of waves of the romance where it's like, oh well, they get together, and they do get together. There has to be something that happens that kind of like disturbs the like kind of like, happiness they found. You're like, oh God, will it actually
always
work out?
something.
And so they do that as well. And yeah, it's just a really fun, nice, and I like that they're older. The things they encounter are like really real things, like the divorce and like finding love after being divorced, and then also like knowing how to trust someone again after like a big betrayal. Very sweet, but not in like a saccharine or like twee way either. So I don't know, it's just very real and like a fun. It's like enough of an escape, I feel, from your own life to be like, learned some things, but I also really enjoyed this endeavor.
It's a solid
Yeah.
feel good.
Yeah. That was May's episode of Spread the Word.
Yeah, what number are we on at this point?
Oh,
1
God.
million. Just kidding.
Oh my God, you guys.
Cheers!
That's the same number.
It's our favorite number.
1 million.
It's how many dollars we'll make this year.
No. Maybe.
If you come to shop, then maybe.
Also, definitely check out Park Circle's inaugural Pride event.
Yay!
Yay!
Yes, we are super excited. Sorry, I didn't mean
No,
to
it's
say
okay.
that. We're super excited. It's the, like Julie said, inaugural Park Circle Pride. It's going to be taking place the first 5 days of the month. All kinds of businesses are participating. There's gonna be stuff
Jam-packed.
every single day.
So many events.
Multiple things every single day.
We have multiple events.
Story
Everyone has
times.
multiple events.
Poetry readings, author events,
Karaoke.
Artists.
art,
Cabaret.
Yeah.
silent rave.
Dye your animals.
And by that she means you can dye the fur of your animals the rainbow pride, maybe the trans pride too.
They might have
They
that
have
too.
the rainbow. They can make any assortment of the LGBTQIA various
Yes.
affinity flags that your heart desires on your little pup. Or a
Yep.
little cat, if you have a very patient cat. And there are
And-
multiple events that are fundraisers for We Are Family. I know that's one that we're doing a fundraiser for. And multiple other fundraising events. There's just so much at the Park Circle Pride website and Facebook group and Facebook event to check out.
Mm-hmm.